The World Peace Pageant 2017 presents messages which Kaz, an atomic bomb survivor, left for us.
Moment ago was a beautiful blue sky, and blue sky changed to be grayish color, silent. Gradually, it changed to be red. The red is fire and blood. The end is black.
ただいま奉納いたしております原爆死没者名簿には5511名のお名前が記されています。昨年までに奉納いたしました方々と合わせますと30万3195名となります。
平和宣言。当時17歳の男性は真っ黒の焼死体が道路を塞ぎ、悪臭が鼻をつき、見渡す限り火の海の広島は生き地獄でしたと語ります。当時18歳の女性は、私は血だらけになり、周りには背中の皮膚が足まで垂れ下がった人や、水を求めて泣き叫ぶ人がいましたと振り返ります。
Peace Memorial Ceremony 2017 will be held tomorrow in Hiroshima. One day before this ceremony, it is an honor to transmit from Los Angeles the following message of Mayor Kazumi Matsui, dedicated to our event.
international community established institutions and treaties that work to avoid war and aspire to restrict and roll back and ultimately eliminate the existence of nuclear weapons. And yet that is not enough. For we see around the world today how even the crudest rifles and barrel bombs can serve up violence on a terrible scale. We must change our mindset about war itself.
I look at B-29. It was a beautiful silver color. To me, it was just like an angel.
In Japanese, hibakusha means atomic bomb survivor. Through the testimonies of hibakusha, we can understand not only the real cruelty of atomic bombs, but also the after effects of radiation and counter-discrimination and prejudice stamped forever in their minds and bodies. Kaz Sueishi is one of the most important hibakusha who worked tirelessly in the United States for achievement of world peace without nuclear weapons. The project of the World Peace Pageant was created also by those persons influenced by her testimony. Unfortunately, she passed away on June 12th at the age of 90. We dedicate this year's World Peace Pageant to Kaz Sueishi with our sincere respect to her assignments left behind us and our deep appreciation. The following program is an open public lecture by Kaz Sueishi at Ryan Park in California in 2009.
I look at B-29. It was a beautiful silver color. To me, it was just like an angel. But that day, just different from any other day, after angel left, I saw the white spot. My neighborhood girlfriend, and I was talking on the middle of the street, and I said that, I wonder what is that? Then her name Asa-chan. Then she said, what are you talking? So I said, look at that. I did a point. And I know I saw tiny white spot. But somehow, a couple of seconds later, extremely, very powerful flash. For a while, I was unconscious. I couldn't remember. I know that it's not real too long. Then I realized I have to move out. But somehow my body won't move. And I know that when I jump across street, right in front of the house, up the ceiling of the house, collapse on top of my body. At that time, I broke my back, but I didn't know either. I still don't understand those days, critical injury, and I never feel any pain or anything. It could be maybe shock. Finally, I went back to middle of the street. Asa-chan also came back to middle of the street. That's burned tree, house, human being. It's just like a charcoal color. I heard that neighborhood people, and include my father. やられた, やられた. That means I'm hurt. Come back from my backyard. At that time, I didn't know he was a burn. When you get burned, heavy critical burn, there's a middle of the picture. It's just like that on top. Later, it'll be just like that. Then later, it'll call keloid. That's the scar, gonna be very ugly looking. My father, third degree burn all over the body. I could go on and on, but today, it happened to be I am hibakusha, the first hibakusha. We have hibaku Nire, second generation. We have a Sansei, the Susan, and the little child, the 2 years old. Also, hibaku Sansei, third generation. You have to have the family and not to war. I always ask people, please repeat after me. Rest in peace. Would you please? Rest in peace. We will not repeat the same mistake again. No more Hiroshima. No more Nagasaki. No more hibakusha. No more any war. May peace prevail on earth. Remember, hibakusha. I want you to memorize the word hibakusha, which means atomic bomb survivor. Anybody, just couple question. Is anybody has a question? Young generation, anybody? Come on. 何でもいいからクエスチョン出してちょうだい。おばあちゃんが元気のうちに。
How was your reaction when the bomb first dropped?
First word. What's going on? Believe me, just 1 second. Nobody didn't know anything about the city of the Hiroshima. I don't think nobody can live for 70 years. But still, I'm still wondering, what is the real radiation sick? I know just outside information only.
Is there any physical condition that you think it was caused by the atomic bomb after like 10 years or so? I know you have initial burn and everything, but afterwards, inner.
Yeah, I remember that 1949, I came to United States to study the fashion. One day I was going to school. Very distinguished looking gentleman was stopped right in front of me. And he pointed like this. You kill many soldiers at the Pearl Harbor. Very difficult to speak English for me. So I pantomime and a little English. Me, Hiroshima, bomb, hurt. Then you brother, me sister, I love you. That was my message. Before that, when he pointed at me, he was a very scared face. But after he heard with my limited English the message, he didn't say anything. And his face is not scared anymore. And he left. But from that night, nightmare started. In the evening, sleeping, my husband sound asleep. Then, nightmare. I shake my husband. Hide, hide, bomb dropped there. Poor man, he was sound asleep and he's gonna get up because I wake him up. Following day, what happened you? What happened what? Don't you remember? Remember what? So I don't remember because that was a nightmare. That's been on and on and on. Then I become mental, emotional, psychological down the hill. So I have to see the doctor all the time. Not only that, I'm not strong. That's why my husband said that he's going to get the good insurance. Contact the insurance company. But it's not the group insurance because private. So they have to check very strict. Then they did find out I am hibakusha. So they refuse. So I didn't have no insurance until 65. If you go back to Japan, if you report 2 witnesses, then you could get the genbaku techo. That's the license. Go physical problem. I didn't ask to come to examine. I didn't ask. As you know, they have to have a license. Every single year I'm going to Japan. Each time when I go to Japan, they made a set for the full examination, everything. 100% free. I had a bad sick. I had to have an operation. It took about a month and a half to stay in the hospital. Everything covered by government. Just remember that. You don't have to show action. Just smile and peace and love. ありがとう。
Hello, I'm Stanley Arai, and I have the same feeling as what Mrs. Sueishi-san was saying. That is, all right. Yeah, I'm a fourth generation Japanese American, or what is referred as a yonsei. I'm a aerospace engineer, and my father was 10 years old and was in town during the day that the bomb fell. And the last thing he remembered of seeing was 3 parachutes. The 3 parachutes are the what they dropped the bomb with. This is a person that's about 10 years old. That's the age he was. And the part that he was burned was around here and the whole arm right here. All right. Yes. This is my family. This is Emily and Nicholas and my wife Tomoko. And I wish that atomic bomb will never be used again, um, because it caused so much suffering.
My name is Susan Ikeda. My grandfather was serving in the military, and he was stationed in the city next to Hiroshima when the bomb was dropped. My background is teaching ESL, English as a Second Language. Well, during my senior year in college, I took a class on war and history, and my professor, who was a historian, emphasized the significance of personal voices and oral history, and I became fascinated with it. Lucky enough to talk to Sueishi-san, and and she shared what she experienced and went through. For example, I remember that she said that although over 60 years have passed since the bomb was dropped, a lot of the survivors still have the emotional, psychological, the physical scars. They don't just go away. And many are afraid to even see the doctor, even to tell their families what they experienced. And she mentioned there was an incident. A teacher was taking her students, about 20 students, to the top of a hill, I guess to protect them. And the students were crying and they were begging for food. She gave them a jar of umeboshi, which is a Japanese sour plum. And the next day, they were dead. They died. So I created lesson plans for my students because I wanted them to learn something from it, and also so that history doesn't repeat itself.
You heard the story from them. How can we eliminate hibakusha? I heard many stories, and I think it is our time to pass on their stories. I have a daughter too, and I need to tell my child what I heard from my grandmother and grandfather. We need to pass on their story to them. I think the people need to change. I was born in the United States. In the high school, I took U.S. history and learned about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But when you hear from the survivors, it is a very good thing. It's very, very informative. We need to do more of this kind of thing. In 1976, for the first time, UCLA gave us the chance to display these photos. I saw them, how they react. The boys come in and look at the photos and shocked. The girls came in and they scream and run away. It was so scary to them. So I asked the boys, what do you think of these photos? At that time, the U.S. Mainstream opinion is to own nuclear weapons. If you own a nuclear weapons like this, it will become like a seesaw game. They own it, so we have to own it to protect ourselves. So we started to going up and up and up. It will be the seesaw game. But they would drop it without announcement. And I asked them, do you still want that nuclear weapon? And those students said, no. I'm sure their, grandparents, grandfather, by now, I hope that subconsciously that they remember Kaz, Mama, that Japanese atomic bomb survivor, asked them whether they like the nuclear weapon or not. The threat of atomic bomb. In the 50s, after the war, I think the Bikini Island was the last one. But China, Russia, and France, they did the experimentation of nuclear weapon above ground. And I was so scared. Linus Pauling and Bertrand Russell also opposed their experiments. I thought they were just great. Bertrand Russell said that in order to eliminate nuclear weapons is to educate others. Education is the only way. We have to let the others know how horrible it is.
The Cold War, they start to reduce the number of bombs, and they should continue to reduce till we have no more. Something that the governments need to agree and talk.
In Japan, politicians debate amending the 9th article of the Constitution. That's bad. The Japanese people need to become aware of the A-bomb devastation. Japan is the only nation having suffered an atomic disaster. We need to make Japanese people aware of the significance and the terrible danger of nuclear weapons. If we don't know about it, then how would the foreigners would understand our suffering? About hibakusha, some people want to hide their past. In the past, in Japan, there was a marriage arrangement, and there was this girl who was going to marry to a man in another city. And as soon as they find out that she was a hibakusha, he turned it down. So her family decided to keep this story as secret, because then she will lose the chance of becoming a bride in the future. In my case, my father wanted to disclose everything to my husband, and I think it was a good thing. My husband understood. He said that my past is not an issue.
Some questions? Is it okay? Please come.
All right. Yeah, it's just unfortunate that the people back in that time back in, they had to suffer and had to be subject to the burns and the sickness, and we never have to repeat ourselves again. And I think that this was a bad time in American history, and I think that retribution should be. I think the U.S. should always remember this, and let this be a lesson throughout the world, and understand that with bombs, it kills, and it's cruelty, and this is something that we really don't need in the world today.
Hey, they want to know if you want.
Thanks.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
若い人は話したくないということですよね。で、全然知識がないということもあるんじゃないかな。だからコメントできないんでしょ。知識があればアメリカ人って何でもコメントしますから、だからその知識を与えなきゃならないというのはやっぱり教育になりますね。はい。
いや、同じ考えだけど、やはり興味がなかったら、何を話していいか分かんないから、No thank you or I'm not interested って逃げちゃうんだ。それを、ね、嫌がらせするようにまで追っかけていく必要ないけど、いつかの機会、そういう、このパパちゃんは、そういう人にいつもフォーカス向けて、できるだけ、ね、それとなしに話していくって、これが我々の任務だと思ってる。 で皆さんも今日この機会に一つずつ無理にお説教がましくてなくていいの。自然に広々とこう伝えてもらって Never happen again っていうこと、それとピースには必ずラブっていうね、忘れないでね。で何でもいいからクエスチョン出してちょうだい。おばあちゃんが元気なうちに。
But the memory of the morning of August 6th, 1945 must never fade. The United States and Japan forged not only an alliance, but a friendship that has won far more for our people than we could ever claim through war. An international community established institutions and treaties that work to avoid war and aspire to restrict and roll back and ultimately eliminate the existence of nuclear weapons. And yet that is not enough. For we see around the world today how even the crudest rifle